Alright guys, I told you it would only be a moment. We are back. It is game number 2, RedArchon against MacSed. The map is going to be Cloud Kingdom. The casters are Tosis. You know him. And Jarosar, you're going to know a lot about him really soon. Doing a great job, Jarosar.
Oh, thank you so much, mate. I appreciate it. But for now, though, we have a game here, and it is going to be game 2 between the blue Protoss and the red Terran, who spawns in the bottom left. That handsome guy you guys just saw on your screen, ladies and gentlemen. And his opponent in the top right of the map, managing to win game number 1, but he wasn't ahead at all times. It was a lot closer than I think we all thought going into the game. It was a really, really good game. Can he make it 2-0? If he does, that would be great, but it's going to have to be a pretty big struggle. We have MacSed.
Well, you know, I think he has to be surprised here, because if you added, like, 50% of the micro that MacSed did to RedArchon wins that game. So what I'm trying to say here, like, RedArchon didn't micro at all and almost won with just pure macro Terran.
And he set himself up to do all the micro as well. He got the early ghosts out. He had all the infrastructure in place. Even at the end of that game, he didn't really have his production structures camped out. He had everything thought out really well. Yeah. And then, he just kind of let it slip on the micro.
To be honest, I'd love to see a micro-intensive build from MacSed this game if he wants to really push RedArchon to his limits. Because if you go into that macro game again, you might have a hard time. But I think in a micro scenario, MacSed is going to completely outplay RedArchon. But, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what RedArchon chooses to do this game.
So, question, Artosis. If MacSed wants to go for a really micro-intensive build, he really wants to push RedArchon here, is it in his best interest to go for something that ends the game sooner, to force RedArchon to, like, micro sooner, earlier in the game? Or is it better to try and attack on multiple fronts and go into the ultra-late game?
It's a really good question, and based upon what I saw last game, I think the longer game would be better for MacSed. And it's a scary thing, though, still, because the longer game, that's the place that RedArchon will be at, but make it a micro-intensive longer game. Have High Templars everywhere. Maybe have a Warp Prism flying around. Make sure that you're microing your army more efficiently than you normally would, even, because you can really crush his army instead of just saying, well, I've done what I can, and he's doing what he can, and that's probably about as good as I'm going to get. No, I feel like MacSed can push it even further this game.
What kind of map that potentially... in the center of the map. If you want to be microing Colossi back and forth during the big engagement, you can. But stuff surrounding the main base as well. Warp Prisms are pretty good here. We see some Terrans, for example, needing to get, even before they see Colossi out, getting a couple of Vikings just to prevent Warp Prisms from getting in on this map. And they need to be really wary of that. So maybe in the longer game, MacSed can use that to work in his favor.
Absolutely. I think that's exactly what he should be trying here. And this, as you said, I mean, this is a great map for Warp Prisms. So we'll see if he tries something like that. Now, interesting little build coming up here from RedArchon. He added his gas really quickly and then 2 more Raxes after his expand. That's a different build order. I'm trying to think the last time I saw something exactly like this, because when you get that quick gas from, you don't get 2 racks, you get 1 more after, so it's a little bit different, a little bit interesting.
But he's getting that quick gas. He wants to spend that gas somewhere else. But in order to tech up, he has to get the factory and then grab the starport. So unless he's going for, like, Cloak Banshees or something with this, which doesn't seem very normal.
Well, yeah, it wouldn't go with 2 Raxes. Yeah. So we see he throws up a Tech Lab. I guess he's going for a really quick stim. That's, I mean, ready? Stim. Soon. Almost. Hold on.
Yeah,
give it a second.
We're getting there, guys.
Come.
Don't worry.
It's going to come.
It's on its way.
Nope, that's the factory. Okay, that's really weird because he got such a quick Tech Lab. He could have gotten the quicker factory. So what this is, guys, is actually this is a slightly inefficient build order.
Bit of a bump because he still had 60 gas left over when he put down the factory.
Yeah, and if he wasn't using the Tech Lab at all, it just doesn't make any sense. So just a small gap in the build order. It's not actually a big game changer.
We told you it was good.
Well, I guess so. But yeah, it's just a slightly inefficient build order, so that's fine. Anyways, on to other things. 4 gates being added by MacSed. So he wants to bring it to Micro, but he wants to bring it to Micro right now.
It looks like it, yes. And, well, he's on 2 base right now, pumping out a whole load of gateways. Does he have... He does have a probe out on the map, going to be putting down a forward pylon at what I guess would be like the 5th base location, just above the natural there. So that'll be pretty cool.
It looks like it's a 5 gate, a little bit sentry heavy for force fields, but it's a strong move, and it's going to be something where MacSed can show off his micro. The thing is, for RedArchon, yeah, he's going to have to micro some, but it's not as micro intensive during the bunker portion, at least.
Yeah. Well, maybe one of the cool things that MacSed can do with this kind of timing is that he might even be able to get it to hit before the first medevacs are out. And medevacs aren't exactly a micro-intensive unit. You set them to heal, and unless you really want to do something fancy, you can leave them alone if you want to. So if MacSed ends up hitting before those medevacs pop out, maybe that'll be to his advantage.
Well, he definitely is. The starport just finished, and he's getting up to 7 gates. 7 gates, guys. This is something you do not see every day against Terran. A little bit uncommon. A lot of sentries, a lot of zealots. So he's going to have to force field behind. If RedArchon can figure out this is coming, get his SCVs in front of the bunkers, that's going to be something this build doesn't deal with well, but it looks like he's going to be caught completely unawares.
Only one of the bunkers has any units in it. A couple of Stalkers just going to be doing a prod up here, but that's nothing to suggest to RedArchon that, hang on, this is going to be a massive push. Just showing a couple units, and here come the sentries. So, oh wow, going to be landing a factory in front of those bunkers. That's really cool, but I also think it's a bit too late. A lot of SCVs being pulled here. Force fields going down behind the bunkers. One of them goes down almost instantaneously, and MacSed is... I think he's going to have to back off here, man. A lot of SCVs have been pulled. Yeah,
that was, you know what, his Zealots weren't all out in the front. He did have some nice force fields, but that's about it. Now, he is targeting down a lot of SCVs, but he's going to do a lot of damage here. RedArchon is going to have Stim, he's going to have Medevacs, and all that we have from MacSed is just a puny gateway army.
Yeah, the first 2 medevacs are out now, and able to get that stim off as well. Focusing down the bunker, and the bunker will go down, but the remaining army from RedArchon isn't exactly tiny. MacSed should probably move back, wait for another warp in with some more zealots in front, because he doesn't have any there at the moment, and then move in again. It looks like he's doing that minus the pulling back bit, and those force fields are really making this work.
Yeah, they are. Those are beautiful force fields. In fact, taking down medevacs at this point, a good choice, I would say. He's got to be careful of these stim units, and in fact, continue to warp in. MacSed may still have enough here, even though RedArchon looked like he may hold.
He needs more... I get the feeling he needs more zealots, because they just keep disappearing a little bit quicker than he otherwise would like. He has the minerals to warp them in as long... And there we go. Just a couple more zealots to beef up this army, and he might be going in here for round 2, because RedArchon can't afford to let all of those SCVs go back to mining for too long. This bio army is so small, MacSed could crush it without SCV support.
That is true. It's a very small army. I love the fact that he has a few units up top. He's landed the factory to try to... add in this gross place for him to walk through into a choke point.
Yeah.
I mean, MacSed, he still has decent probe saturation and all, but, I mean, it's going to be really hard for him to get anything done against someone with all these upgrades, unless he kills him now, and I think it may be too late.
Well, Twilight Council and Forge have gone down for MacSed, so he's thinking of the longer term here. I think he realized he's done a fair amount of damage to RedArchon. One thing I really like about what RedArchon was doing, though, it's like he had all the right ideas, because he had the factory going down in front of the bunkers and stuff. He put units in the second bunker and he pulled the SCVs, but it's almost like he had all the right ideas about 5 seconds too late. Yeah. And he would have lost significantly less if he was just slightly quicker.
It's so true. He would have bopped it. He would have just destroyed the attack otherwise. So MacSed is lucky in that way, but... the army that's going to be moving out here, it's going to have combat shields, concussive shells, stim, a lot of medevacs involved, +1 attack. The +1 armor is halfway done as well, so just a vastly superior set of upgrades here for RedArchon.
Well, it's gonna be pretty rough when he actually hits with the follow-up here, man. I mean, the one thing that I think RedArchon really is going for him at the moment is that he's found all of the forward pylons. I think I can't see another blue dot on his half of the map.
Yeah, you're right.
So if he gets a good position on MacSed, it's not like MacSed can make up for it by having really fast reinforcements. He's gonna have to slowly push out and make sure he's in a good position before he engages RedArchon. And RedArchon's just being a little more aggressive right now. With that map positioning, I'd like to see him maybe try and keep a hold of the watchtowers a bit more, though, because MacSed totally saw that coming.
He totally knows exactly what's going on. He has a lot of stalkers with Blink. That +1 armor not quite done yet. Ooh! Ooh, almost. And it's become a pretty fearsome army for him as well. But his Zealot's all stuck behind. That is some poor battle control to start. And the Zealot's finally coming out here, but is it too late?
Yeah, good pickups there from RedArchon, actually trying to macro some of that bio army behind. So doing a little bit of the micro we didn't see in that last game, but by the time he drops those Marines, the rest of the army just seems to be a bit overwhelming. RedArchon's actually ahead on supply by about 20 at the moment, so those Medivacs really doing their job and then some. But the Blink micro from MacSed's not bad either, and he's holding his ground.
No, he's doing a good job with these Stalkers, but you don't normally want Stalkers to be fighting Marauders with Medivacs. But if he kills them off, he gets all the Medivacs, and that would be absolutely huge.
Oh, pulling the Medivacs back and leaving the Stalkers to fight, that's like the best decision from RedArchon right there.
He did the absolute best he could there. Now, he is up by 30 supply, and I think MacSed's going to do just an all-in here.
Well, it's going to be difficult if he just continues moving across with Stalkers, because RedArchon's seen that the army's really Stalker-heavy, and MacSed just kept throwing Stalkers at him. So that kind of incentivizes him just to keep going Marauders. And you can't, like, blink back from them indefinitely. It feels like, I don't know, it feels like there should be something else with MacSed's army.
Yeah, I am with you on that. And in fact, he's going Templar Archives, he's getting charged, but +1 attack. I actually thought he already had +1 attack because he had +1 armor going.
Okay, I
this
think
is actually kind of
+2. Oh wait, +1 attack. You mean for RedArchon?
Yeah. Because I've never seen any Terran ever get +1 armor before +1 attack. But anyways, sorry guys about that little mistake by your team.
You withstand those Zealot shots, man.
I guess. I mean, it is statistically not quite as good as the attack, but that's okay.
Sentry tickles. That's what.
That's
what they're there to downgrade, man.
Don't do any damage anymore.
Yeah, they actually reduce it to 0.
Yeah. Well, you know, even though RedArchon is way ahead in supply, Psystorm may be done right before he hits with this next push out. And if Psystorm is done, we saw that before he was not dodging Psystorms. If he were to do it this time, I feel like he can break through and force a cancel and maybe even win the game. But we'll see. Well,
in game number 1, he lost 2 Medivacs to the drop, and his army positioning wasn't that great. He wasn't dodging storms. It was wasting a lot of the energy on that Medivac. This game, he's been keeping all of his Medivacs alive, and they have quite a lot of energy at the moment. So hopefully, if he's microing in the middle of a battle there, even if Psystorm completes and a couple of good storms go off, hopefully he should still have enough to heal a lot of that army.
Well, I tell you what, he has 12 Medivacs. That is a gigantic amount. It's a very new thing to see. Protoss is trying to get up to numbers like this again. Or Terrans get up to numbers like this against Protoss. So he is going into attack to third base right now. And some Psystorms going down. The Zealot's getting hit quite a bit, but that is a lot of Psystorms left over.
Yeah, that's kind of the secret ingredient that felt like, ooh, nice positioning on the Stalkers. They're blinking forward. Does that Medivac go down? No, it actually manages to stay alive. It's still there on the minimap, and he's going to be heading back up to the third base. Nice splitting of the army there from RedArchon, moving in with a small force as well, and he's going to be able to go into the natural and do a bit of ninja damage here. But MacSed soaking up so much damage with those Zealots isn't going to be enough.
He didn't have any storms left, so he lost his High Templars, 2 of them at least. And RedArchon actually just punching a hole through the defenses of MacSed. It's beginning to look like MacSed has lost this second game, Jorasaur. I don't know, man. This RedArchon guy, he's looking solid as can be.
Yeah, 100 supply ahead now, more than 100 supply ahead, and RedArchon is all over the place with a lot of Marauders.
Whoa,
GG. And it ties up 1-0.
Wow, we might have what many would consider a big upset on our hands coming here. But RedArchon, he's playing very solidly, and MacSed, some of his aggression has been misplaced.
He looks so chilled out.